Hey, gang, thanks for joining me. Here's what we're going to talk about this morning. We're going to talk about culture, and we're going to talk about longevity. So, the context of this is some of you have heard, and I'm not going to go deep into it, but some of you have heard that another network marketing company bites the dust. And so, of course, that sends shock waves and everybody gets afraid. And is this going to happen to us? And is this the future of the profession? And is this the trend? And all of that kind of stuff. And I'm just going to give you my opinion. And so, first of all, let me tell you what I know about the Advocare situation. Nothing. Like, I don't have any insider information. I don't have any facts. I have context. I have history. I have relationships. I have observations, but I don't have any facts, and I don't think anybody else does either. Those will come out. This is an unprecedented thing that Advocare did, a very successful company, probably $500 million a year or larger company, been around for 25 years, founded by a good friend of mine. And who passed away about, 15 years ago. And so the company has been owned for the last 15 or 20 years by a foundation, which is basically what he set up for his family. And I think that's, something interesting to note is the owners of the company are not involved in the business necessarily. They're beneficiaries of the business, but they're not in the business. And so what they sent out a letter a couple days ago that basically said, based on negotiations with the Federal Trade Commission, they have decided to shut down their multi-level marketing operations and be a single level direct selling company where Advocare distributors would only be servicing customers. And so everybody who spent 25 years building a team at Advocare is out their income with 2 months notice. So they have 60 days to find a new home. And sidebar, the thing to not be doing right now is reaching out to every Advocare distributor and telling them what a great home you have for them and your company is different. And because if you actually do that, then your company's probably not different. And it's kind of like selling insurance as people are running out of their burning home. It's not classless. It's not class, it's classless. And, these people are panicked. And here's where they're going to go. You want to know where people go when their company goes out of business? They go to the companies that they have for years admired. They go to people they already have relationships with that they admire and trust. They don't go to somebody who calls them up and pitches their company. Now, if you have a great relationship with an Advocare leader, sure, I think it's fine that you reach out. Perhaps the conversation is listening as opposed to pitching. But if you don't have a relationship with an Advocare distributor, don't be posting stuff on social media about how your company's different and you're better and everybody ought to come and join you. No class. So you might ask, well, how did this happen? Well, this is the factual part. I don't actually know. I could only speculate, which makes me qualified to be an anchor on cable news, right? No facts, just hours and hours and hours of speculation. But let me tell you about the Federal Trade Commission, and then we'll get into your culture, your company culture, and longevity. The Federal Trade Commission is a federal regulator, not a state regulator, but a federal government regulator. And oddly enough, there are no federal regulations that decide or monitor or regulate how network marketing companies operate. There are no laws on the books about network marketing companies federally. There are states that have laws that speak to pyramid schemes, but that would be when a state attorney general gets involved, and that's not the case. Here in Advocare, it's the Federal Trade Commission, according to Advocare. So when does the Federal Trade Commission get involved in a network marketing company? Not because it's a network marketing company, not that at all, but because of fraud. What the Federal Trade Commission monitors is fraud. And so there's two types of fraud. There's making claims about products that aren't true, and that's a little different than the Food and Drug Administration, which is making claims for products that might be true, but the Food and Drug Administration has not approved the claim, which would make that product a drug, totally different issue. But, for example, the guy who sells my favorite pillow or whatever it is, well, part of his pitch was that you get a better night's sleep with his favorite pillow, and the federal commission sued him and fined him like $10 million for making a baseless claim. That's what they do. And of course, he paid the $10 million and keeps selling pillows. And I think he even keeps making the claim he'll probably pay $10 million a year. And why do companies like My Favorite Pillow get away with stuff where network marketing companies don't? Well, because regulators know that we're vulnerable in network marketing, because everybody associated with the opportunity is fickle. They're on thin ice. They're scared of being a network marketer. And so the first sign of trouble, first lawsuit, first bad news article, and people start thinking about quitting and joining another company. And so network marketing companies actually can't stand bad publicity. They can't stand lawsuits very well. I mean, nuisance suits, no big deal. But, a legitimate suit that has legs, that those hurt network marketing companies, not legally necessarily, but the mood of the distributors. It hurts the mood. So network marketing companies have a much higher standard. The pillow customers, they don't care if he gets sued. The people who are buying pillows from him today, they probably didn't even watch his infomercial last year. They don't Google him to see if he's legitimate or not. They just decide as an impulse to buy his pillow. So he can get away with that kind of stuff. We can't get away with that kind of stuff. We have to be squeaky clean. We have to have our act together. And so here's where the Federal Trade Commission comes in when it comes to network marketing. It's either product claims, or more likely, what they really love to find are what they call income claims. Now, what is an income claim? Well, an income claim is basically when I tell you as a prospect, or I even tell you as an upline and you're on my team, that you can earn X amount of money, whether I say it directly or I infer it. So here's how I would infer it. I would say, hey, join me in XYZ company and you can live the same lifestyle I'm living. And behind me is my yacht and my jet and my Lamborghini and my giant house and my trophy spouse and all that kind of stuff. So those are all called income claims. And the Federal Trade Commission hates those. They hate that hype. They hate that baseless, irresponsible promoting an income opportunity when the facts are disclosed really only in the income disclosure statement. The income disclosure statement, which companies are not required to have, it's not a legal requirement. It's just a good practice. It's a standard operating procedure. It's the first thing that the Federal Trade Commission or Attorney General look for is, are you displaying prominently the income disclosure statement whenever you're talking about the opportunity? And so here's what you can't do. You can't display the income disclosure statement and then talk about how much money you can make and how easy it is and how much money I made and how rich you're going to get. And, you don't have to sell. And here's my yacht and here's my big house. And that doesn't fly either. So the Federal Trade Commission looks for culture, which is the purpose of this live. They look for, what is the culture of the company? So I don't know specifically about Advocare. I mean, I've seen stuff, I've heard stuff, but I don't have the facts. And those will all come out. But you don't need to worry about Advocare unless you're in Advocare. What you need to worry about is your company and your team and your culture. And here's what I mean by culture. Culture is like the rules that define our environment. Culture is what we demand and expect of each other. Where there are no people, there is no culture. Culture is a product of people. Culture is a product of people coming together and agreeing on a common set of rules about how we will live our lives. So in the United States, we have rule of law. That's one of the things that defines our culture. So we have all these laws that say, you can't break into your neighbor's house and steal his or her stuff. That's against the law, and the law creates culture. What is the product of culture with that law? Well, mind your own stuff, right? Your stuff is not other people's stuff, and other people's stuff is not your stuff. You can't just go take other people's stuff. So because the laws are so prominent and they're so well defined and they've been around so long, it's really obvious when somebody breaks the law, and nobody tolerates it, right? You wouldn't tolerate it if somebody broke into your house and stole your stuff. You'd call the cops or worse. So there's no tolerance. The rules are clearly defined, and there's no tolerance. There's no conspiracy amongst the members of the tribe or the community to tolerate people breaking the law. Christianity is defined by the 10 Commandments. What are those? Those are the rules that define the culture of Christianity. So if you're a abiding Christian and somebody breaks one of the 10 Commandments in your community, it's very obvious, and the community tends not to tolerate it. They tend to call it out. So you get a sense of what I mean by culture? So now the question is, when it comes to income claims in your company, in your community, or product claims, baseless, unsubstantiated, or therapeutic, like FDA unapproved, non-compliant product claims, what's the culture of your company? What's the culture of your team? And actually, your team culture could be one thing, and your company culture could be another thing. And where you're vulnerable is really your company culture. Because if you don't want to end up like Advocare or Vima or Herbalife, which in the case of Vima and Herbalife, they are rallying, they are coming back. But in the case of Advocare, we don't know yet. But if you look at the last, I've been doing this full time for 43 years, you want to know the number of companies I've seen in the last 43 years that have been toasted by an attorney general or the FTC, or worse yet, the media? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So if you don't want that to happen, you got to pay attention to your company's culture. And you want to be in a company that has a culture that allows for you to build an income that allows for you to be paid forever. And so how do you do that? So I'm going to speak to two things as I wrap this up here. One, I'm going to speak to what is the culture that allows you to get paid forever? And then what does that mean to get paid forever? And what does it mean to be in network marketing? What is the model? What is allowed? What is legal? What is illegal? What does the culture allow for? So the culture that you want to get paid forever is a culture where when it comes to product claims, your product claims are compliant. So you have two types of compliant product claims. One is you can't make therapeutic, bodily function claims for your products unless the FDA has approved those claims. We're all pretty familiar with that. But the question to ask yourself is, what's the culture of my company? What is the culture of how product is sold? Is product sold by people sneaking around talking about how I used to have cancer and now I don't have cancer anymore because I use this product, or whatever the claim is? Is that really the culture? If it is, you're vulnerable. Why? Because that's against the law, and the FDA can shut you down for that. That's possible, right? So the question to ask is, what's the culture about how product gets sold? And the thing about products that do therapeutic things that, actually change our health, and the only way we really know to talk about them is that, well, I used to have a cold and I don't have a cold, or I don't ever get the flu anymore, or I have all these aches and pains and they've gone away, or I threw away all my diabetes medicine because of these products. We don't have to say those things. We don't have to be non-compliant. From a prospect's standpoint, all we have to do is tell our story and be convincing and be compelling and be enthusiastic and be believable. The more claims you make for a product, the less believable you are. But what if you just told everybody in your network, this is how I felt? Like I didn't feel good. I didn't have energy. I didn't sleep well at night. Like I wasn't clearly focused until I took this product. And after taking this product, I feel absolutely amazing. Like this is the most mind-blowing product I've ever taken in my life. I'll never stop using this product. So there's 3 statements I made that are totally compliant, yet they're compelling, right? They get people's attention, and you can say those all day long. So the question to ask is, in your company, what are the rules about how you promote your products? Are people sneaking around or maybe even blatantly violating FDA regs on selling the products? If they are, you're vulnerable. And then maybe so the next question to ask is, what about fraudulent claims for your products? Like, are you making claims for your products? Like I see companies talk about, oh, our product does this, and it's, we have clinical studies that prove that our product does this. And I go look at their clinical studies, and there's like 11 people in the study, and it's not even a double-blind study, and the company paid for the study themselves, and their studies are totally bogus. And there's some really big $100, $200 million a year network marketing companies out there that are selling totally bogus products. The products might work, maybe, I don't know, but the proof that they claim behind the products is bogus proof, bogus studies, bogus clinical studies, bogus science. And so the FTC, they love that kind of stuff, because if they get enough complaints on that product, they're going to dig in and they're going to look at that evidence that you're claiming about that product. And if they see what I see, you're toast. And then the last area, which is the biggest area, and probably the area that most companies get in trouble for, and that's income claims. So how do you responsibly make an income claim? Well, I'll tell you the most powerful and potent way to make and legal way to make an income claim in network marketing today is just show people your income disclosure statement. Just show it to them. Say, here's this. Here's what the average top rank makes. Here's how long it took for the average person to hit the top rank. Here's how long. So you want to make 20 grand a month? Well, let's look at the people that make it 20 grand a month and how long did it take them? And yes, what are the percentage of people that ever get to 20 grand a month? 0.0036 or whatever. It's like hardly anybody. But here's what I tell a prospect about the hardly anybody. Hardly anybody becomes an Olympian. Hardly anybody, gets through law school. Hardly anyone, lives, stays married to the same person for 70 years, right? Just because hardly anyone does something doesn't mean you can't do it. Doesn't mean you and I can't partner up and do it. Doesn't mean we don't have somebody in our upline who's done it that we can partner with. Right? You all know the reason why 99.999% of people haven't hit the ranks and made great income in network marketing is they haven't done the work. Period. Right? How many people have ever invited one person a day for 90 days, any 90-day period in their network marketing career? Just the basic fundamentals of building the business. Marketing. Inviting people to look at your opportunity is marketing. Network marketing. Market to your network. Invite your network. Advertise to your network. Like the pillow guy does it every day, right? He does it every day on all kinds of different channels. He's on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. He's everywhere. He's on cable news. Why? Because he's marketing and he's consistent. And what do we do as network marketing people? Well, we talk to 2 or 3 or 4 people whenever we feel like it. And as soon as 2 or 3 or 4 people tell us no, we quit. That is the nature of our business. That's why the income disclosure statements have such horrible percentage. That's why 99% of the people in network marketing fail. Well, I guess that's technically true. It's also true that they quit. Right? It's also true that 99.9% of the people in network marketing never do the work required to earn a significant income. All of that is true. You say, well, why is that? Well, for one, they don't have to. They don't have anything to lose. When I got network marketing, the entry fee was $10,000. I had to buy $10,000 worth of product. I didn't have to, but they manipulated me to. Why? Because they were really smart. They knew if I had $10,000 worth of product, I wasn't going to quit after talking to 4 people. And actually, I looked at my huge stack of product, which would like fill this whole wall, $10,000 worth of gasoline additive. And I looked at that product every day. And the way I thought about me and network marketing was, I'm not quitting until I get my money back. So this wall of product has to go away. People don't think about it that way today. They pay their $50, they try it for, 3 hours, and then they quit because it's not fun and doesn't look like anybody wants to do it. So how do you ethically and legally recruit people today? Just tell them the truth. And the best evidence of the truth is, here's the income disclosure statement. Here's the people that hit the ranks. Here's what the ranks pay. Here's the average length of time it takes to hit those ranks. And here's the percentage of people that ever hit the ranks. That's the truth. That makes you compliant. And you don't have, all your yachts and your Ferrari behind you that you leased for 24 hours for your photo shoot. And you may say, well, that's crazy. Nobody does that. Are you kidding? People still do that in network marketing. People still hype and lie and promise all about the income opportunity. They don't tell the truth. So the question to ask about your culture is, what's the culture of recruiting in your company? Is it responsibly telling the truth? Or is it hype? Is it lies? Is it manipulation? So now let's go to the network marketing model. So one of the things that comes out of these kind of things with Advocare is people start saying, well, it's all about customers, and we can't be focused on recruiting, and everybody needs to have 10 customers. And okay, so I'm all for that. I'm not against any of that, but here's some facts. So fact number 1, there is no legal requirement about how many customers everybody needs to have. There is no ratio requirement. There's no legal requirement that every distributor needs to have 10 customers. There is in Amway because Amway lost a lawsuit around that. And there is in Herbalife because Herbalife lost a lawsuit. And there is in Vima because Vima lost a lawsuit. But there isn't for the network marketing community or the model or your company unless you're one of those 3 companies. So you could have 1 customer for every active distributor. The ratio could be 1 to 1. The FTC may not particularly like that, but it's not illegal. And what the FTC looks at is the culture of the company. They look at, are you selling legitimate products honestly? Like, are your products real? Do they do what you say they're going to do? That's what they look at. They look at, when it comes to the income opportunity, how are you recruiting people? Are you telling them the truth about the income opportunity? Like a franchise, when you go to buy a franchise, to go look at a McDonald's commercial like on TV. They don't talk about, hey, come on down and buy a franchise. They're only $1 million and everybody makes $1 million a year that buys one. They don't promote that way. If you're going to buy a franchise, you're going to look at a stack of papers this thick, and 99.9% of the stuff in the papers is everything you are required to do to be successful. And if you pay $1 million for the franchise, you don't get your money back, right? It's a totally different model. So what the FTC looks at is, how are you promoting the model? Are you responsible? Now let's go to recruiting. So people, they look at this and they say, well, okay, we shouldn't be focused on recruiting. Nothing could be further from the truth, folks. So just imagine if the founder of your company didn't focus on recruiting. How many distributors would there be? Let's go back to the beginning of your company. Let's say I'm the founder of a network marketing company. So, okay, I got a company and I got a product. Okay, I'm going to sell this remote, right? This is my product. I own the company. I'm the founder of the company. Okay, let's go. We're in business now. Let's go. Okay, oh, by the way, I chose the network marketing model. How do I know that? Because of my compensation plan. Now, I could have chose to be a direct selling company. I could have chose to be like a franchise. I could have chose to just sell online. I could have chose to sell my product to people that already have distribution things. So I'm just a licensing. I could have done all of that. But let's say I decide I'm a direct selling company. Okay, now as a direct selling company, I have two choices. I can just sell my remote to people who want to buy the remote, just me. I can do that. Let's say I founded my company 25 years ago and I'm a direct selling company. And what I decided to do is just sell my remote to people who want to buy my remote as a direct selling company, selling person to person, direct to people. How big do you think my company would be 25 years later? How many remotes do you think I would have sold 25 years later? Let's say my remote is actually a gift. Let's say my remote is actually some miraculous, extraordinary product that is a huge contribution to other people's lives. And I'm just selling them myself. How big of an impact have I made on the world? How have I served humanity by my approach to business? Well, not that I haven't, but it's limited, right? So then my next choice as a direct selling company is I could be traditional, old school direct selling, party plan kind of, and there's all kinds of variations, but the essence of it is, okay, I'm going to sell my remote, but I'm also going to recruit people to sell my remote. And I'm going to get an override on the people that I recruit to sell my remote. And they can do the same thing, but they only get paid like one level, right? So everybody can recruit, but they only get paid on one level of recruiting. So that adds a little bit to their income, but you know how much work recruiting is, right? You know how much work it is just to get people to pay attention to your opportunity, to sort through all the priorities of their life, to decide, okay, I want to associate myself with a product. I want to carve out an hour a day and be a direct seller. I want to, have my friends and neighbors know that I'm promoting a product. That's okay with me. It's a pretty high bar to get people involved as a seller of your product. And if you're not going to make very much money for doing that, then the motive is not there to do it. And so the third option that a direct selling founder of a company has is network marketing. And what's the difference? Well, in network marketing, everybody gets to build a team from day one, everyone, and you get paid virtually. Of course, that's, kind of an ebb and flow, depends on your rank, depends on your compensation plan, but you get paid virtually on your entire team. So everybody gets to build a team from day one. This is what defines network marketing. Everyone gets to build a team from day one. Everyone. So if I involve 10 people in the business, well, then they each can involve people in the business. They probably won't each get 10, right? But they could get one, and some of them could get 2 or 3, and some of them could get none, and one of them could get 10, right? And I get paid on that second generation, and that second generation all get to recruit, and I get paid on the third generation, and the third generation all get to recruit, and I get paid on the fourth generation. And oh my gosh, what's starting to happen here when I do the math is there is a possibility that I could get paid on the efforts of hundreds, possibly, think income disclosure statement, thousands, possibly tens of thousands of people selling the product. Now think about motive, folks. Motive is everything. If I tell you, hey, what we're going to do at the end of this live, what I want you to do, and I want you to film it, is I want you to go to the nearest public place, and I want you to strip down naked, and I want you to streak for 1 full minute in a public place near your home. Now, most of you would say, oh, I'm not going to do that. That's a ridiculous proposal. But what if I said, if you do it and you send me the video, I'll send you $50,000. Some of you would do it, right? Or you're thinking, okay, well, 50 grand. If you're smart, you'll think, okay, if I invest that 50 grand at 10%, that's $400 a month for the rest of my life for 1 minute that eventually is going to go away, right? So some people bite on 50 grand, and the people that don't, sorry, most of you have heard me do this shtick over and over again. But if I raise it to 500,000, a lot of people do it, right? It's all about motive, folks. So if you want people to get in a business and change the priorities in their life and give up their free time and spend maybe less time with their kids short term, maybe less time with their spouse short term, maybe less time with their passions short term for long term gain, you got to create huge motive. And what the reason why network marketing dominates the direct selling model. I mean, virtually every direct selling company in the last 30 years has moved to a network marketing model where everybody gets to recruit and you get paid on virtually everybody on your team, as long as you keep the right structure, qualifications in your compensation plan. Why has it dominated? Motive. What motive? Well, the difference between making $1,000 a month as a direct seller and building something that pays you $1,000 a month for the rest of your life. That's what we're selling. And you want to get good as a network marketer. You want to be compelling. You want to enroll people in your opportunity. Get good at showing them the difference between making $1,000 a month, doing anything part-time, and doing something part-time for 4 or 5 years that then could, I'm not saying would, but could pay you $1,000 a month for the rest of your life. You know, I did a 2-day leadership workshop in Chicago last December for 300 leaders of a network marketing company that's been in business 62 years. 62 years. 300 leaders at the event. Now, we don't think about this, but 62 years ago was, I don't know, like 1950 something, right? So how old were you in 1950? I wasn't even born yet in 1950. I don't know. Maybe it was 1955, 1956, whenever this company started. So the point is, people that joined the company in the 50s and 60s might have been 50 and 60 years old. They're gone now. Out of the 300 people at this event, there was probably 20 or 30 of them that were, maybe 40 of them, maybe 50, maybe 100. I don't know. There was a lot of the people in the room whose parents built the business, and their parents were gone, both of them. And it was the kids who were in the leadership event because the kids owned the business. And you know what was even more remarkable? There was at least 20 grandkids, not who were tagging along watching what their parents were doing. They owned the business. The grandparents built it. The parents inherited it. The parents, gone. Grandkids owned the business. That's the promise of network marketing. That's the difference between making $1,000 a month, which, you know what, you can go work at Walmart as a greeter. Except I hear they're downsizing that position at Walmart. They're getting rid of the greeters. They figured out they don't get an ROI on the greeters. So you got to find a different part-time financial opportunity. I do, anyway, as an example. But you can make $1,000 a month going to Walmart for 2-3 hours a day. Probably get some benefits and stuff. You know, you don't have to bug your friends. You have to call your friends at night and say, hey, are you going to go to Walmart this week? Hey, I really want you to come. When you go to Walmart, ask for me. Right? You don't have to do any of that. Like, leave the job at home. You know, $1,000 a month. The thing is, it's not worth the same as $1,000 a month for life. And so that's the promise of network marketing. Now, how do you get there? How do you build something that pays you for life? Yes, customers are all a part of it, but how do you get customers? So you could go get 10 customers, and you could say, oh, you know, I got the perfect balance. I've got 10 customers. Great. You got 10 customers. You make $200 a month. That's awesome. But if your product is really a contribution to the world, then what you ought to be thinking about is, how can you get 2,000 customers? How can you get 2,000 customers? I'll tell you how you can get 2,000 customers. Recruit 200 people. Have 200 people on your team. You don't have to recruit all of them, but maybe you recruit 20 of them, and they each recruit 4 or 5, and all of a sudden you got 200 people on your team. How did I say you get 200 people? You recruit. Some people don't want to hear it. I'm sure a lot of regulators don't want to hear it. Maybe the media doesn't even want to hear it. I don't care. It's the truth. Recruiting is the DNA of network marketing. It's how our model works. It's how we impact the world with our product. It's how we impact families. Yes, you can impact 10 families, get your 10 customers. Yippee-ki-yay. Good for you. That's great. Or you can impact 1,000 families. How do you do that? Recruiting. Not only recruiting, right? Because you're not going to recruit 100 people who each have 10 customers. No. What network marketing is really all about is recruiting, wait for it, recruiters. Think about it. I could be a recruiter. Some of you are recruiters. You're 100 wide, and you have no second or third level, right? So basically what you offered 100 people was a job at Walmart. That's what you offered them. What our business is about is recruiting recruiters. Now, you may not like that language, so okay, fine. Our business is about sharing sharers. I can't even say it. Our business is about recruiting recruiters. That's what we do. We recruit people into a product and income opportunity. You say, well, what if all the emphasis is on recruiting, then who's going to sell the product? Well, I don't know. Who sells the product in your company? Who sells the product on your team? First of all, do you sell the product? Do you use the product? Are you a customer? Are you a customer number one? And do you sell the product number two? Do you have any customers? Of course you do. So let's say you spent your entire career recruiting, and you have 10,000 people on your team. You know, there's that really ignorant objection that says, well, if everyone's recruiting, who's selling the product? I don't know, Grant. Who's buried in your tomb? If you have 10,000 people on your team, who's selling the product? Oh, no one. We're all recruiting. That's all we do is recruit. Well, go look at the income disclosure statement, right? Go pull up every income disclosure statement. If you have 10,000 people on your team, how many people are selling the product? Or how many people have teams? If you have 10,000 people, you might have like, I don't know, maybe 200 that have teams. And maybe you got maybe another 500 or 1,000 if you have 10,000 people on your team that are even selling the product. The other 9,000 people are just using the product, right? Even if everyone comes into your culture, your opportunity, looking for opportunity, they look at the income disclosure, they look at your presentation, they look at four who get four, who get four, who get four, and they say, I want that. Let's go. I'm going to be the next, right? Well, track them for 90 days or 6 months or a year. Where do they end up? Half of them end up in the bone pile. They're not even customers anymore. Almost half of them just end up as customers. And a few of them did the work because they were motivated to do the work, and they're starting to see the benefits. But they won't really see all the benefits until they do the work for 4 or 5 years, right? So you may have a concern about, well, what about Advocare? I don't know the facts, but I know culture, and I know how the FTC operates, and I know what they look for, and I know what they don't look for. And you don't need to be concerned about Advocare unless you're in Advocare. What you need to be concerned about is your company. So if your company culture is vulnerable, and I'll tell you, you got vulnerability two ways. One, if your culture is vulnerable legally, then clean it up and insist that your company cleans it up. And if your culture avoids the network marketing model, if you're a network marketer, if your company pays 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 generations, potentially, you're a network marketing company. I don't care what you call it. I know there's some companies out there that go, no, we're not network marketing. We're referral sales. We're leverage sales. We're social selling. What you are is a fraud. because you are a network marketing company. You are a multi-level marketing company. You are just like all the rest of us. You just put lipstick on a pig. And so now you think you're cool, but really you're full of it. And you have a right to do that. That's great. Go ahead and position and market yourself as something that you're not. But everybody knows the truth, which makes you not so credible, right? So if you are a network marketing company, and the reason you got in your network marketing company was for financial independence, financial freedom, to pay off your debts, to have a better lifestyle, then another question to ask about your culture is, do you have a recruiting culture, or are you ashamed? Are you ashamed to recruit? Are you afraid of recruiting? Do you have a story that recruiting is illegal? Because if that is part of your culture, wow, you're really limiting your growth, and you're ripping off a lot of people that might be impacted by your product, that might be impacted by your opportunity. And that is what I have to share with you today. If this is of value to you, I ask you to share it. Share it with your teams. Share it with anybody you think will get value from it. Just remember, the work is worth it.